Let's see what's up with this thing. Is it broken? No, it's working super good. What's up, everybody? It's Friday. Good to be here today with our lovely, lovely Friday crowd. What a beautiful, beautiful Friday we're having out here. I don't know about you guys. I don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods, but it is lovely out here. It's lovely out here on my end. And I don't know what I did, but I don't think any notifications or anything went out. Hey, what are you going to do? It's a Friday, though. It's a Friday, and we're here. And we're going to do a show, and I'm not sure where I'm broadcasting to. I might just be sending it off into outer space. Hey, that's all right. I see a couple people in the chat, so it seems like it's sort of working. Rogers Aquarium's here. Hotea Marian. Hopefully I say that right. Big D Smoke and Steve Beartyke, which I hope I got that right, too. And Guppy Guru just showed up. What's up? Good to see everybody on a Friday. It's been a little bit wild out here, man. I'm telling you guys. It's been, I don't know if anybody's noticed. It's been a pandemic. It's been super weird. We've all been having a crazy pandemic time. I don't know about you guys, but I certainly have been quarantined for quite a while. I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit. I feel like I'm in Groundhog's Day. I feel like I'm legitimately entering Groundhog's Day. You might as well just call me Bill Murray from here on out because it's like been totally Groundhog's Day for quite a while now. I feel like every day is pretty much the same thing. I get up, I work, I take care of the baby, then I do some other work, then I take care of the baby, then I do some other work, then I make dinner, then we take care of the baby, then we put the baby to sleep, then I hang out with Victoria for an hour, then I go back to work. So I don't know about you guys, but it has been a little bit of a struggle because there hasn't really seemed to be any kind of vacation or time off or a break in the action. But we'll see how long we can. Let's see how long we can continue. Hopefully, remembering that all of the precautions and things that we're doing is to help the overall benefit of our community, the community of the world, the community of whatever country you happen to be in, whatnot. That's all the reason that we're doing it. And hopefully more therapies and vaccines and things like that will be coming down the pipe. I was optimistic that they'll be coming soon, but it seems to be that the main thing that we're going to be looking forward to is being able to test. I think testing is what we're hoping. I guess hopening is the new word. I've invented a new word today on a Friday, hopening, and that's with hope and opening and reopening our everything to go back to normal. So, Guppy Guru says UT opened back up today, kind of opened up at least. Yeah, everything, we're going to be continually going through these, a state will open up, then there'll probably be more virus, then they'll have to shut down again and do all that kind of stuff. So, I'm erring on the side of caution, I think. I think that's pretty much where I'm at. I don't know about y'all, but, I don't know about everybody else's situation out there. Vicky and I have saved, we do have emergency funds and that kind of stuff, so I'm not as concerned about, getting out there. We're both still working. We're able to work from home and that kind of stuff. Neither of us are waiting on unemployment checks or any of that kind of stuff. So it's, hasn't been as bad as it is for a lot of people out there. And, I work for myself, but, I don't have I don't have a bunch of employees or anything like that I got to think about. So it's, I know that I'm kind of unique, and, it's one of those things that I've tried to, portray on these live streams and stuff like that, is that hopefully people out there have been taking some, at the very least, like small steps in the direction of becoming more independent, having diversified your income, where your revenue streams and things are coming from. I know that personally, if I still have, if I have some of my tools, some access to my body parts, then and my brain piece, that I'll be able to find work and that kind of stuff. There's one thing that I personally invested in, and I don't know if you guys know too much about my personal paint company. You guys know that I really enjoy painting murals and stuff like that, but there's not a ton of money in that, if that makes sense. Yes, you could get booked on some really big projects. That is a possibility for people out there in the world that are hyper talented. I have a couple of buddies that are hyper talented, and they get booked on really big jobs. But personally, I never got really booked on very big jobs. I was always doing small jobs. But the area that I was able to earn enough money to pay my bills and my rent and stuff like that is painting houses and businesses. But, painting the exteriors and interiors of businesses and stuff like that. So, yes, I have scaffolding and, paint sprayers and all that kind of stuff. And, that's something that I know that I always will have access to, is the ability to, buildings need to be repainted at some point in time. So whether I'm going to make an exorbitant amount of money or just enough money to pay the mortgage and stuff like that, that's something that I know I always have access to. That is always my backup plan, is like I just go back to painting houses and businesses and stuff like that. So I don't know about you guys, if you have an emergency fallback work thing. I don't know if that's something that other people out there have put together in their life, but that's something that I invested in. I put money into. I've learned how to do it, and I am pretty much ready to go at pretty much any point in time if somebody really needs a building painted or something like that. Like, I'm ready to do it. So if maybe that helps spark a bit of creativity out there in the world, maybe it does. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Hopefully that helps somebody think about that. One of the big other businesses I could recommend to able-bodied people. You don't necessarily have to be. You don't have to be a dude. You can definitely be a lady or whatever. Just able-bodied person. Is a pressure washing company is something that I would always recommend. Is a great avenue for somebody to start a business. That's something will always have work. You will always have work if you're doing pressure washing, because gas stations exist, grocery stores exist, houses exist, properties exist. So private companies, or private people and private companies and public companies, all that kind of stuff, they all need pressure washing. So maybe that's two business avenues that you guys could think about out there in the world. If you're like, dude, I'm having a struggle trying to figure out where my revenue streams are coming from, because I hear people talk about diversifying my revenue streams, and I don't have any ideas. Well, there's two ideas that you all could put together. You could do like a painting company, or you could do a pressure washing company. How about that? And it would help with what the title of today's future video is the future still bright? And I think it is. I personally am quite optimistic about how things are going to work out. We shall see how things pan out over the next couple of months. I think what most people should be focusing on is the testing aspect, because therapies therapies for this virus are going to be who knows kind of situation. Vaccine is at least 9 months away, so I think we should be all definitely advocating for testing, so we know what's going on. That's what I think, where we should be at. But who knows? I'm dummy. Let's get in with our YouTube members. Let's get that updated because we have a brand new Dan Squires in at the standard level. What's up, my guy? Coming in at standard. And I do got to give a shout out. We actually have an enthusiast and a producer at those higher tiers now. I gotta let people know. But we actually are up at 91. Thanks to Dan Squires. We didn't our normal count didn't go down, and we actually went up on a Friday. Well, thank you, Dan. Let's update our Patreon because we're actually going to go to the Patreon questions and stuff here in just a second. Let's reload this page. Ooh, we've dropped down, but it's to be expected. Today's the first. It's the first of the month. A lot of people's credit cards have expired and stuff like that. We've gone down to 241, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Let's change the color on that. Let's bring it up to pink. I'm going to make it pink. Yeah, there we go. Oh, pink Patreon count. 241. Thanks, guys. Speaking of the Patreon, let's run over there. I got to scoot over a little bit. Of course, it's backwards because I'm in a camera here. Boop. I got to scoot over this way. And let's click our button over to the window region of the... I hope to have her back as soon as this pandemic stuff kind of dies down a little bit, right? So then we can all get rapid testing and get like people back on the show and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Says, this week I learned how to get more brine shrimp from the hatchery. Used a coffee filter. Which, by the way, that is a pretty good... I got to admit, that's a pretty good piece of advice. Like, I think it's affordable, first of all. I think most people already have some coffee filters, right? I think it's pretty good. Even using a brine shrimp net, I was losing a significant amount of brine shrimp, even using a brine shrimp net. This solves the problem quite handily. It would be easier if I had one of those pour-over coffee filter holders, but those things aren't free, and I have no job currently, so I'm using a large net over a big 20-ounce cup to hold a coffee filter while it strains the brine. Bonus, the filter is compostable. That is a good bonus. I like that bonus. That's positivity. People were wondering, what's up with Alyssa? She's not having a job. We got a pandemic, so we got this virus going on. We haven't been able to have Alyssa come over because we don't want to be potentially spreading the virus around. And now she's currently jobless, but I did get an update that at least her, stimulus check and stuff was coming through. I don't see her in the chat today, so I'm just going to talk for her a little bit. But yes, I would love to have Alyssa be here every Friday. I would love to have her here. We're going to see what we can do to financially try to make that work. We're trying to figure it out here. My income has gone down when doing the math, my income has gone down about 30%. And I realistically was like trying to figure out like how to pay Alyssa or something and try to make that a thing. But it's just a thought in my head of trying to figure out what I can do with it. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe someday we'll be able to pull that off. I see Marco here. What's up, Marco? Good to see you, bud. All the way showing up from the Netherlands. Big D Smoke has a mesh net that works really well, actually, but I still might try that. Yeah, I think if next time I do brine shrimp, I'm going to try out this coffee filter. I'm going to try this coffee filter method and see if it works out. I'm going to see if that works out. I would imagine that if Alyssa's tried it, it's probably worked out pretty well. Yeah. So, yeah. Steve Beartykes asking, have I ever constructed a greenhouse? Yes, I have constructed many a greenhouse, and I will be constructing a new one here. Basically, as soon as some of this pandemic stuff slows down. That's kind of the nice way to put it, I guess. Right now, I just don't have the availability of actual construction time. Like, I don't have enough time to actually work on it. One of the big conflicts that we have right now with the pandemic, I guess. I'll just refer to it as the pandemic. That makes sense because that's kind of what's going on, right? Is that we have no childcare. So, whereas before I probably could have carved out a couple hours out of each day to start getting the groundwork done for the greenhouse, it's not possible because basically Vicky has to go back to work. I have to watch Olivia. So those potential couple hours that I could have done, squished into a day have just disappeared because we have no childcare for Olivia during the week. And, Vicky has to go right back to work. So the type that I'm going to build is not going to be steel. Most of them I've done are aluminum, steel, and wood. I've also done PVC greenhouses. I don't like PVC greenhouses because they just are not a permanent structure. They're very useful for, certain temporary applications. They work quite well. So I've done the PVC hoop style greenhouses. We did a real big one up in Alaska. Messed around with that a bunch and a bunch of other stuff. But I personally don't like doing those unless they're a temporary thing. There's the steel construction ones and aluminum. They come in quite handy, but they're pretty cost prohibitive realistically for the average person because you more often than not just have to buy like a $4,000 kit or something like that, or you end up buying something that's like $500 and it's no good. So either you're gonna end up buying one that's really expensive, or you're gonna buy something that's inexpensive that's not going to last. Steve says you want to use galvanized fence parts. You definitely can. I've done that in the past for the some of the roof girders and stuff like that, but realistically, the way that I like to build them, and I will be building ours this way, I like to do a 4-post, so 4 wood posts into the ground, with concrete. So slap those into the ground. Typically, with how big the post is, it's probably going to take about 4 to 5 bags to have enough counterweight that you don't want the whole thing to move ever. Then you're basically going to do not a polycarb, but you're going to do panel. What's the name of that stuff? Is it polycarb? What's that paneling? There's that plastic sheet paneling that I was about to call polycarb, but I don't think polycarb is the right name for it. Let me see if I can find one. So poly sheet paneling greenhouse. Let's see if Amazon has something that explains it. No. So we want like polycarb. Is that right? I'm going to take the greenhouse out. That's not helping. No, that's not right. What is that crap called? There's a name for it. Oh, so we want corrugated sheet paneling plastic. I'm like literally doing Google searches while. So it's this stuff, corrugated plastic sheets. Coroplast is what it's called, but we want the clear. So we want Coroplast clear. Coroplast clear. Oops. Will help if I spelled it right. Well, it's going to take me a while to find exactly what the product is, and I don't think during the show is going to work because literally this is like bringing up some kind of moisture barrier cream ointment. Yeah. But it's basically like a corrugated plastic. It's a clear corrugated plastic sheet, and I'll have to find a link to it. And right now that's not working out that well. So let's just get back to what I'm supposed to be doing here. Did we get enough likes today? I don't even know. Who cares? Likes are stupid. Let's do dislikes today. Let's hit the dislike button. Hold on, everybody. Let's hit the dislike spike. I wonder if we can hit 100 dislikes. Can we hit 100 dislikes today? Let's try to do that. Can we hit 100 dislikes? There's only like 52 people watching, so it seems physically impossible, but who knows? Bentley says twin wall poly. Steve says polycarbonate. Yeah, I think it's called poly. God damn it. Oh, what was it? Let me go back. Coroplast, right? No, colorplast. Coroplast. Coroplast. Oh, it would have helped if that was an R. I didn't even notice that it had done that. Nope. That didn't help. All right, let me see if I can't try this one more time. Coroplast. Copy. Control V. Coroplast clear. Nope, it doesn't come up with it. I don't know. Man, I came back and I was like, oh, dude. I think I might have to try to look that up again. And I just realized the error of my ways. I should not try to look that up again. Sunlight. Let's look that up. All right. I was trying to tell myself, like, don't do that during the show. But I think reality is like, screw it. Let's just do it. Oh, there we go. That put us on the right track. Falcon Designs. Falcon Acrylic MW-CL-6mm /1212 MWCL 6mm 1212 multi-wall. Oh, there it is. Multi-wall polycarbonate sheet. Greenhouse cover. There you go. That's what it is. Is this even reasonably priced? Oh, here's a pack of 10. Does that seem like a good... That doesn't seem like a competitive price. That's $30 a sheet. Yeah, I don't know. That seems a little outrageous, guys. Yeah, but apparently Falcon Design is the one that... let's open this one up, and then let's go take a look at other products that are related. A billion resources, pack of 2. Whoa. Pack of 2. Yeah, I mean, here's the 48 by 48 sheets. How many is this supposed to be? Is this only one? One of them in there for $160. That's not legit. Don't order that. That's out of control. Oh man, my coffee tastes like garbage today. I don't know about you guys, but my coffee tastes bad. Let's see, polycarb. Yeah, this seems to be kind of the best copy. Let me copy this and then warn people. If you go buy stuff from Amazon, they used to give us money, but nowadays my affiliate comes out to apparently 17 cents. I don't know. It used to come out to like $5 a day or something like that when people used the Amazon affiliate links, but now it comes out to apparently 17 cents. 17 cents is what the income was today. So that's pretty strong, right? That'll definitely help people buy food during a pandemic. If you guys don't know, Amazon they lowered their commission rates basically. Pretty significantly just a little while ago. So who knows? But Steve says that's crazy expensive. But there's a pack of 10 that I just linked in there right there, which was $300, $30 a sheet seems pretty reasonable considering, depending on the size of the greenhouse that you're going to build. Let's say you built a really big greenhouse that needed 20 of those, right? Let's say you made a really big one that needed 20 of those, $600. That's not too crazy out there. And then some clear corrugated for the roof. That's the best construction, is a 4-post construction. Build the walls with like 2x4s to connect everything. And you want like your rear post to be, like a foot or two taller than the front post, right? So you're going to need some big, tall lumber for the corners. So you have a nice slant to the roof. Then just do a flat, corrugated, clear plastic roofing like you'd see like at a trailer park or something like that. Use that, and a boom, boom, boom. You're going to definitely run through it pretty quickly. It'll be up. It'll be ready to go. Those polycarb wall panels, you can bore holes into them if you want vents or any of that kind of stuff, or if you need an exhaust fan or whatever. That stuff's super easy to work with and works out pretty good. It works out pretty well. It honestly works out pretty well. And if you're somebody that does construction and whatnot, you can readily make all the cuts and joinery and building and all that kind of stuff pretty readily. That's kind of my advice on building a greenhouse. You want to build a good wood structure, use those polycarb panels, and then just, you can waterproof everything, and you just want enough sunlight coming in. It doesn't have to be crazy input as far as the sun goes. The sun is really powerful. I don't think that people in the aquarium hobby recognize like the PAR rating of the sun shining down on us, because we're so used to it. We're so used to the sun shining down on us that we're just used to it, and we don't really think of the PAR rating of the sun, but the PAR rating of the sun is quite high. Yeah, you're going to be fine as long as you have a good amount of sunlight coming in. And I have seen some applications that only use the sun on the roof. So you could just hypothetically just build a building, like basically like a fancy shed, and then do a good job of waterproofing the interior, so you're not going to get any water penetration from all the humidity that's inside the building. But like I said, I like to use those polycarb panels because it's a waterproof material in its own right, and then as you just put everything in and put it together, it's just good to go. Let's see what we got here. Dan Squire says, thanks for that link the other day. If only we all had 450 acres. I don't have 450 acres. I wish I did. I personally wish that I had 450 acres right now. It would be fantastic. I'd be into it. We have about a half an acre here. Little under half an acre on our property here. We have an old lot that is bigger than your standard lot in the area. But you know how it is. Alf Teo sent this in. I haven't seen him in the chat. I was kind of waiting to hopefully see if Alf showed up or not. Let's see. Oh, we got comments on this one. Oh, we got a comment down there. I think it's gonna apply because it's basically what I was gonna say. So should we read it? I think we should read it. Alf Teo needs a positive ID on this. I was told it's Myriophyllum Guyana, which I received 2 stems of 6 months ago, but it never looked like any of the images I see on the old inner tubes. What is it? My initial impression was that looks like Rotala wallichii, and that's exactly what Tales from the Man Cave said like 5 hours ago. Yeah, that looks like Rotala wallichii to me. Even though these are fantastic pictures, it probably would take me some time to really kind of like look around and like compare based on what's happening in the images here. Now, I think it looks like Rotala wallichii, and I might be wrong, but I think I would have to concur with Tales from the Man Cave that that's what it looks like to me. But one of the main things that you really want to do when you're definitely trying to identify a mystery plant is grow one up above the water column and get it to flower. Because once you have the flower, it's underwater. The way that it's growing underwater, it's flower also. And the way that it's growing above water, those three things are what you would really combine to specifically identify a plant or not. And let's say you pop up on the internet and you're like, here's my 3 pictures. Here's it growing underwater. Here's it growing above water. And here's its flower. And if you can, you want to get a real up-close picture of the, I was going to say stamen. Is that right? The inside of the flower, the little bit that pollinates. I was going to say stamen, but I don't think that that's correct. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, with those 3, you'll be able to definitely get an identification. And worst case, like let's say you post it up and you get a bunch of weird responses from people, you could always send it into a local society, or not a local society. You can go online to some of the plant societies, send those images in, and you would likely get some kind of response as to like, we're not sure what that is. We look it up in the book and blah, 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 and they'll see if they can come up with something. So, and I can't even remember like the last time I sent images in, but it was to some college, which I can't remember what college it was. I think, knowing me, I probably would have sent it into the UW, which is the University of Washington, which is really close to me, or maybe Washington State University, because they're local in the state that I live in. So I normally stick to as close as I can to hopefully, I guess realistically, if I was to validate what it is, the reason that I do that is that hopefully I can meet them in person someday. Am I weird like that? I don't know, I guess. The Fish Keeperist sends in, just sharing my tiny shrimp cube, which I appreciate it. I like it when people just share their tank and we get a chance to check them out. Always good times to check them out. And I'm also wondering, like, how big is this tank? That's kind of what I'm wondering about right now. Is like, how big exactly is this tank? It's hard to tell from like perspective sometimes. Like, how big is that table? This could be a really tiny table with a tiny, tiny tank on it. Or maybe it's like a 60-gallon. We may never know. But yeah, I love getting a chance to see people's tanks. And if you guys want to check out that tank, you should definitely spin by the Patreon and you can look at it up close and personal. Tales from the Man Cave sends something in. And I have to admit, very rarely am I like jealous of some kind of setup that somebody has going on. But this is one of those times that this has never crossed my mind, and I'm super jealous of how awesome this is. This is crazy. It says, I found a great way to store my aquarium utensils. It's a 1-to-1 replica of the trolleys used in the legendary Swiss airline flights. I'll post a picture of it closed in the next post. Now, here's the thing. This is a replica, so it's not even like the used gross one that actually was on the airlines. Like, it's just it's a replica, so it's all like fresh and new. Like, dude, this hadn't even crossed my mind of using like an airline trolley, like these things that the stewardesses like drive around. This never even crossed my mind to keep stuff in, but this is brilliant. And I have to admit, I want like 20 of these. Like, it's pure unadulterated genius. Like, I'm loving it. And yeah, he says, by the way, Swiss Air was grounded after 9/11 and never got up into the air again. It's sort of nostalgic brand for many Swiss people is the Swiss Air. Yeah, a lot of airlines, that happened to a lot of airlines. In 2001, that tragic day, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it was a big tragedy, and a lot of airlines just never came back, never recovered. yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if we're better off for it, but I don't think we are. I think we're worse off. Yeah, I would say personally, we're worse off. Flying back then was much more enjoyable than it is now. Legitimately, I think. But that's a legitimate opinion, I guess. So I guess it doesn't really mean anything. I'm going to go ahead and delete that useless email I just got. Always got to have the email open because you never know when I'm going to get an email, right? But yeah, man, I'm actually considering. Hold on, I wonder if you. I gotta see. I gotta see if this is on Amazon. I didn't look this up earlier, but I think I should. I'm gonna add this to the list. Yeah, there we go. And let's go. Airline stewardess trolley. Yeah, I don't know what you would call this. Other than it being a trolley, I don't know what you would call it. Service cart, maybe? Yeah, I don't even know like where you would get one like this. So I have some metal trolleys that just popped up. It's like a storage trolley with like 3 racks on it. We got them at IKEA. So yeah, I'm not seeing one on here. Whoa, this one's really cool, but it's $800. Don't buy that one. It's like $800. Yeah, I'm really kind of jealous of that one. That or you're able to find it. I don't even know where you found it, but I'm interested. I'm interested in trying to find one of those airline carts. Which I got my Amazon open right now, and I realized I do need to order some new paint brushes as they're sitting there. I don't know if you guys do pinstriping or lettering, but man, pinstriping and lettering brushes are extremely expensive. God. Let's see. Marco. Oh, there's Marco. Says KLM sells them for 250 euros on eBay. Okay. 250. All right, man. That's actually not that bad. You could buy one of those like once every 6 months, and before you know it, you probably have, a decent collection of them, right? You'd have a decent amount. Like you wouldn't want to buy 10 of them all at once, but you know. Yeah, that airliner trolley is next level, man. That airliner trolley is next level, and I really got to get one at some point. I don't know. I got to figure out where. I have to figure out where in the States I'm able to get one. But yeah, this is dope. I think realistically, like I'd pay $250 for one of those. And like I said, maybe I'd just buy once a year. Like buy one a year or something like that. And then by the time somebody comes and visits me and I'm like 60 years old, I have like 5 of them, and then and people are like, wow, man, that was actually like a really cool idea, man. He's got all these little airline carts and they all work rad. Because you got to know that they're durable, first of all, and they have the adjustable shelving in there. And the top of them works good, right? Because the top is designed to like have a bunch of stuff like clanging around on the top of it, right? I think, you have the top there. So, I don't know. Feel like it has all the stuff that you need. Maybe there's like, I don't know. Maybe there's like Snap-on makes one or something that is comparable. But, yeah, also it's got that airline style. You know what I mean? It's got that airline style. So, I think like that's kind of the cool thing, too. Like it's from an airplane. I don't know. But the final post of the day actually kind of ties into the next video that you'll see on this channel. It is woefully overgrown, but I love it like that. Trimmed for 2 hours today, and now I can't wait for it to grow back again. Kind of a weird cycle. Yes, it is 100% a weird cycle, and like the next edited video that comes out, which probably should be tomorrow, is just about that cycle. It literally going through that with the 150 right now, and yeah, that whole video will be all about trimming and and doing that. Oh, let's see. Here we go. We got the search parameters from Marco. Let me see. Search Google for that. Oh man, it's got pop-up art. It's got, or not pop-up, pop art. Oh wow, man. People are doing like vinyl wraps on their airline trolleys. Man, I got to admit, man, I'm jealous of this whole airline trolley situation, and I really feel like I should get into it. Yeah, look at that. This airline trolley right here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the little inserts in there. Man, that would really do some stuff. Oh, this one has like trays and stuff that slide out the top for a little more extra work area. Oh, here's a whole bunch of them lined up in a row. Yeah, see, look at that. You'd make like one big, long, flat surface that you could just like roll them all underneath. I'm telling you, this might be the wave of the future. Like, I might be organizing my shop this way. I don't know. All the tools and everything all be jammed into airline trolleys. Seems like a worthwhile adventure, right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but why not? I think we'll just go for it. Fun with Fish Tank says, "Sup, playa? Hope you and yours are doing well and staying safe." Yeah, we are doing everything we can to continue staying safe, just as safe as we can, to help slow the spread and that kind of stuff. Working from home has become, I'm not saying it's become overwhelming, but it is starting to feel that way. It's starting to feel like it's overwhelming, just living in this crazy Groundhog's Day kind of situation, to just get up and do the same thing day after day after day, and having to do it 7 days a week to keep up. Because if we're not working like 7 days a week, there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done, bouncing around back and forth. Because Vicky works 5 days a week, she's got to do the Monday through Friday, and she's having to do Saturdays now because she's in the healthcare field and stuff. So, or the health insurance field, and because of everything going on, they have like extra hours and that kind of stuff. And me, I'm fitting everything in. I'm up till midnight. I'm up at 5:30. The other day, I woke up and literally just went like, no, and went back to sleep for half an hour. So, yeah, it's getting to that point where it's starting to feel like, oh, this is so oppressive or whatever. But the reality is that we're here, we're safe, and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So everything's good. Like, I can't really complain. It's just starting to feel weird, Dan Squire says, "I wish my tanks looked like that." Oh, you just got to keep growing them, Danny boy. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, we got our first super chatter of the day. Because Dan was our first member of the day. We got our first super chat of the day, and it's $20 from the old Fish Tank Barn. Well, thanks, Mike. He says, "The tip jar, the future's so bright, you're going to have to wear some shades." Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always wearing these clear shades because of the future. Because the future's always trying to get at me, right? Like, it's trying to get at me with how bright it is. Hey, there's Johan. What's up, my guy? Good to see you. Fun with Fish Tank says, "Man, I bet I don't have kids yet. I can only imagine it's really difficult." Yeah, I think that's really the sentiment that all of the other fellow parents that are in quarantine and stuff like that, it's just that, like, having to deal with small kids that need care nonstop is the deal, you know what I mean? It's like, we can't leave Olivia unattended. There just is no, unless she's asleep. So she does take a nap from like noon to 1 most days. So while she's napping, yes, we have like a baby monitor. Like, we have that little wireless like baby monitor that we take with us to keep an eye on her. When she wakes up, then we go get her. But she's just not of the age that you're like, yeah, just hang out in your room over there and play or whatever. I mean, if she was like 2 years older or something. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what she's going to be like when she's 4 or 3.5, I guess. We'll see. But right now, it's like you can't leave her alone. You know, that's just kind of the deal. It's like she just cannot be by herself. Like, she will eat cardboard or fall off of something or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, earlier today, she got her finger. So we have these little bins that we put her toys in, and we put them up on the shelf, and then she can take down the bins and take the toys out. And then, of course, we practice putting them back in there and then putting them back up when it's time to not be playing with them. But it has like the baskets have these little holes in them. Well, earlier today, she like was playing with one of the baskets and everything was fine. And then she got her finger stuck in one of those holes, which, what is going on? I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but she comes over and, oh, my finger's stuck. But she can't really say that her finger's stuck. She's just upset. And she can sort of say finger, maybe. But when she's upset, you can't get words out of her. So she got her finger stuck in there, and I was just like, dude, what are you doing, bro? It's crazy. Stop doing that, Big D Smoke says, I stopped working July 8th, 2004, when my son was 3.5. Yeah, I think, I'd probably be wrong, or somebody will tell me I'm wrong, or whatever. I feel like it would be a little bit easier to deal with if she was like 3 or 4, because there just is periods of time where it's like, a 3 or 4-year-old, you could set them down with some colors and that kind of stuff and be like, hey, can you just color for a little while? And they're like, oh, yeah, they could be at that for an hour. At the very least, they can communicate, like, if something's wrong, whereas Olivia's kind of at the point where she just is crying because something is wrong, So, yeah, I don't know. It just is what it is, but it really just is feeling like Groundhog's Day because it's just, I feel like I'm constantly in catch-up, like, if I ever take a minute, well, not a minute, you know what I'm saying, like, if you take a half an hour to, like, all right, I'm just going to chill out for like a half an hour or whatever, then you start to realize like, oh, there was a thing I should have been doing for that half an hour. So, yeah, it is what it is. Oh my God, we got a new member. We got another member, which means I got to change the membership number here. Let's go over here and verify it over on the old YouTube button pushing thingy over here. And that's right. We are up to 92 members. Oh man, that puts us closer and closer to the 100 mark. Trying to get to that 100 mark, but we don't even have 100 viewers today, so who cares? It's Friday. We're just at where we're at, just doing what we're doing a show. And I didn't really write a big script for today's show or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to, engage with you guys, answer the few Patreon posts that we had, but most of the Patreon posts were just like, dude, check it out. Like this airline cart, which is in my brain now. I feel like I have a minor brain worm because of this. Because I think every time now I'm going to go look in my shop how I'm going to want to organize it or how I'm going to want to organize my fish room is going to be with these airline carts. Whether that's viable or not, I don't know, but it's going to be there. It's going to be there in my head that like, man, that's not as cool as the airline trolleys. Excuse me. Oh, hold on. I'm going to hit the cough button here. If you guys don't know, the pollen count here in Western Washington is at extremely crazy high. And everybody's been dealing with this like kind of allergy thing with all the pollen that's going down. So that's why I'm coughing. I mean, I don't know if I have the sickness. I don't know if I've gotten down with the sickness or not. It's a callback to the 90s. If you don't know about the 90s, then don't worry. Or maybe that's the early 2000s. Who knows? Let's see. Oh, somebody was asking something earlier I was going to answer. Let me scroll back up. Ollie H says, my Aponogeton crispus is sending up several flower spikes. Is it going to die back after it flowers? No. Nope. More often than not with the Aponogeton flower spikes, it's normally an opportunity for more plants, generally speaking. So I would just pay attention to them dropping a spike down into the substrate. That's going to be another plant. Get those trimmed and make more plants. Make more plants, man. When plants start sending out flowers and stuff like that, that means that they're generally in some kind of propagation mode. So yeah, it's normally a good sign, and you can more often than not create more of that plant. So I wouldn't worry too much. Dan Squire's thoughts on CO2 in an aquarium. I've always been against due to the cost of maintenance. Now I realize that bottling CO2 and feeding it into tanks actually reduces global warming if done right. It would be difficult to say that it reduces global warming or not, because it's what you call a it's a negative it's not negative effect, it's a null effect carbon sink, right? So what I think a lot of people don't realize is that, like with a carbon sink that's a natural carbon sink, like trees and stuff like that. So yes, you plant trees, they inhale and hold on to carbon, right, from the atmosphere. And it is for more of a prolonged period of time with a tree and stuff like that, but it ends up being a neutral carbon sink because when the tree dies, that carbon ends up being re-released back. Now, obviously, that's over a long period of time. So people advocate for growing of plants because they're generally going to hold on to the carbon in the time that we're alive, right? So, if it's 50 years, you're like, wow, that's pretty good. I'm probably not going to be around then, and it's not going to be a concern. So, yes, but the actual production of the greenhouse gases that we're putting out, actually a channel called Knowing Better actually put out a really good video on that, like 2 or 3, maybe 3 days ago, something like that. It does like a really kind of intense breakdown of some of that stuff. So you could definitely look there to answer some of those questions. But I'm all for adding CO2 into the aquarium because it's a net zero, realistically, as far as the greenhouse effects and stuff goes. Like, the CO2 is pulled from the atmosphere, it's put into a bottle, it's compressed, and then you slowly release it back out. So it's like you're not really affecting anything one way or another. You're just taking it, holding on to it for a little bit, and then just putting it back out over time. So you're not really doing anything positive or negative. The one big downside is that it is taking energy in order to create the bottled CO2, and it has to be driven around. So it is kind of a negative, realistically, when you get down to it, that it is creating more, if you really start to break down the minutia of it. But, I drive a gas-powered car. I'm doing the best that I can, but I don't know what it's going to, what anybody's really going to be able to do as far as that kind of stuff goes without getting large corporations or large governments and stuff to start changing some of that stuff. And like I said, Knowing Better did a great video on that recently, so you can definitely check that out. Obviously, I'm just kind of off the cuff talking right now. I don't really have any talking points or exact research to point to, but he does in that video. I definitely recommend it. So you could check that out and kind of give you some thought process on what it is that we could do as people. But long story short, there just isn't that much that we can continue to do on our own, except for certain things like I've been talking about for years now, like growing some of your own produce, not necessarily creating innovative ways, but embracing creative ways in order to solve some of our food storage problems and stuff like that. For instance, like the freeze-dried food is just a great way to go. That if you are producing food, kind of putting food back into the system, one of the ways to store food is dehydrating, freeze-dried. Dehydrating is a way, but they're two different things. I'm trying to do my damnedest to promote freeze drying in a way that is financially feasible for your average person. So there is a small company that Vicky and I were going to order our own freeze dryer from. Now, bear in mind, it is an expensive technology, but it has become a lot less expensive over the years. It's becoming more accessible. And by the way, the guy who invented freeze drying works for Sera, which is a fish food company, SERA. They're a German fish food company. He's the guy that invented the freeze drying. Anyhow, so one of the things that Vicky and I have been trying to work on is trying to find one of those units and then be able to a freeze drying unit. There's a company that we were talking with a little bit to try and get one of those units and then see what the viability is for the average person if you were to, for instance, community purchase a freeze dryer like that, because it was about $2,000. So if you have like 5 families that are doing some gardening and then every year they're doing freeze drying throughout the year, what does that do just as a small community? I think starts to add up over time of, doing your own gardening, doing your own food processing, and breaking it down in a freeze dryer, because it seems like a freeze dryer is kind of the best way for the average person to long-term food storage that doesn't have the negative greenhouse effect, like creating the jars and lids and all that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot that goes into that. Whereas the freeze drying is essentially, you're just utilizing electricity over and over again. You're using new electricity every time, but that seems to be like a repeatable thing that you could continue to do over and over again. And eventually, like the situation that we're in now, have a lot of freeze-dried food, so you're kind of ready for certain things that people are freaked out about right now, like food security. Food security is like a real big thing, and I think that we should honestly spend more time like teaching our kids and stuff like that, like how to grow food, how to butcher food, how to do all of the things that we got to do to feed ourselves, so that it's, if they are to read some of the crazy news going on, they can actually utilize their brain and their experience to process it and go, oh, okay, there's some things we might need to do because things are changing in the world that we live in, right? All right, let me get back to some of the questions. Ollie H says, cool, thank you. Just what I need, more plants. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm at the point now where I'm either going to have to go back to selling plants or something. I don't know. Because I can't just feed them all to my chickens all the time. Those eggs are only so valuable, right? Dan Squire says, I think the problem with peeps that try to go self-sustained is over diversity. What you need to do is just do what you do and let your neighbor do what they do, share from there. Yeah, I think that's true, but I think if everybody had a garden, right, and everybody had, like, let's say everybody had 4 other families that they were coordinating with. Somebody was doing tomatoes, somebody was doing broccoli, somebody was doing onions, somebody was doing, carrots, they were doing whatever. Everybody's doing their own thing. They could all combine and freeze dry the stuff so that you'd have accessibility to a lot of diversity as far as the food goes. So, yes, it does get a bit confusing out there in our garden because we have a lot of stuff going on. We have to move everything around, and we just don't have any other families that we're working with. And the people that live near us are, I don't know, there's not really a great way to put it. Like the two houses. So the house. So some of our neighbors over that way are kind of like drunk young party people. Some of the people over that way are just like grouchy old people. One of them's like a total shut-in person that I've never even gotten a chance to say hi to. Some of the people across the street just moved in. I met them recently. So we'll see what happens. Like we're kind of now we're on like a social distancing situation. So who knows what'll happen, but maybe we'll get some coordination around here at some point. I don't know. But the previous neighbors that we had were pretty rad, and that we were definitely planning on doing some of that stuff. And then they ended up having to move because job stuff or whatever. Let's see. Picked up a Fluval Spec 5-gallon because sold my only tank right before this quarantine shenanigans. I didn't realize how much I'd missed my tank. Ooh, Nathan, that is a good point. There's always the used market you can definitely check out. I think it's going to be kind of difficult right now to try and coordinate that with people because social distancing and all the things that are going on is going to continue and not going to be going anywhere for quite a while. So, you might have to order something new. I did post some links the other day onto where did I post those links? Oh, onto YouTube in regards to some of the small tanks that I've been able to get my hands on via Amazon and that kind of stuff. So, maybe that's a way that you're going to have to do it. Maybe you're going to have to go Amazon to get a new tank or something like that. But right now, if you're stuck in your house and you're quarantining all the time and you get to go on a walk and that kind of, you're going on walks and you're doing your workouts and stuff, you might not be getting the opportunity to do some of the nature stuff that you normally do. It's definitely good to have an aquarium, because especially like a Planet aquarium, because it'll give you opportunity to check out some nature stuff and work with some nature stuff that you might not be getting this year go around. But I definitely recommend people to get some, some kind of gardening going. Food security is going to be really important, and it just is. It's just going to be. So I used to remind myself at times when my son did things how old he was. Sometimes about to say so my 5-year-old son would do. And I would catch myself saying, "Oh yeah, he is 5." Yeah. That's the life of having kids. It's just weird. You start to lose your mind, I think. A guy who sells ferts for aquarium plants told me that he keeps his plants in inert substrate, CO2, and good light, dosing daily. He is having beautiful plants. My question, is that possible without nutritive substrate? Yeah, 100%. But for the average person, you're realistically gonna encounter the problem that fertilizer adds up. Fertilizer adds up in price and cost and time and energy and all those things. So yes, it is possible to do that. I mean, he's basically just taking aquaponic hydroponics and applying it to a Planet aquarium, which is fine. You can totally do that. I think long term for the average person, like I said, you're gonna run into the problem of fertilizers cost money. You're gonna run out of fertilizer. You maybe aren't on a perfect dosing regimen like somebody who's producing his own fertilizer, right? And also you got to bear in mind like where the advice comes from. And so somebody who sells fertilizer probably wants to run or give the advice to people to run a system like he does, because you want to sell more fertilizer, right? Now, as I said, that might be totally accessible to you and it might work out well. I prefer to utilize the cation exchange capacity of a substrate as kind of my measurement of whether or not it is a useful substrate. And that's in regards to whether or not it has it's positive or negative charged, to be able to grab that. I don't think covalent bond is the right name, but it's like a temporary covalent bond, to occasionally allow for the fertilizer micro and macronutrients that are in the water column to be able to have that bond to the substrate. It gives the opportunity for your plant to pick that nutrient off of the substrate and not only be pulling from the water column. Jay's Crazy Obsession says, what's he munching on? Nicorette gum. So it's that nicotine gum. I don't know what to tell you. I was gonna really phase out the Nicorette gum, the nicotine gum, and then it turns out there's a study that the nicotine might have something to do with blocking people from catching the coronavirus. So they're looking into that, and I was like, I'll just keep chewing Nicorette because I like nicotine, and from all of the studies I could find, it's not that harmful. So we'll see. I mean, I brush my teeth 3 times a day, so the sugar's probably not great, but we'll see, you know. Big D Smoke says, I don't eat tomatoes, never have liked them, don't even like burgers when they forget not to put them on. I'm not personally a huge fan of just raw tomato, unless it's like cherry tomatoes or like heirloom tomatoes, stuff that's real specifically grown. If you go into like beefsteak tomatoes and stuff like that you buy at the store, those big crazy ones, they're not. I mean, they're designed and grown for shipping, so I don't think a lot of people realize that. The tomatoes that you'd want to buy like at the grocery store are like Romas or something like that, that may or may not be specifically grown for the shipping ability of them. But you definitely want to go with some local tomatoes or whatnot. But as far as like tomato sauce goes, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem eating some pasta. You're going to have a problem with all that kind of stuff if you don't have the tomatoes around. You know what I mean? So I like to use them in recipes a lot. Yeah, so I definitely use a lot of tomatoes, but I don't really just eat them like sliced up. Let's see. Hotea is in Europe somewhere, and the tomatoes that you guys often get in like local markets are much nicer than ours. Most of ours are the ones we get from like South America that are grown down there. They're picked when they're green, packed in a box, and thrown on a boat and shipped up here. Yeah. Let's see. Da, 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 da. All right, let's see. Trying to read these questions. Alyssa Bentley has been lurking. Was at the vet this morning and had to drive home. Vet's in Tacoma. A bit of a drive. Man, if we didn't have a pandemic going on, you could have been on the show today. It could have been a double whammy, Alyssa. It could have worked out. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm caught up with the chat. I think I've caught up. Joseph Mrozinski just showed up to say, what's up? Well, what's up, man? Good to see you. Kind of winding down. Don't have a bunch of questions, so I don't know. Marco Peterson says, all of these aquarium lights can be used to grow veggies, you know? Yep, I do know that. I actually have some of the Fluval 2.0s that I'm going to put in our greenhouse for the winter when there's basically not enough light from the sun in the part of the world that I live to just rely on the sun. in the wintertime to grow and maintain a full growing season. It is possible. I just would like to be able to amend it, so we have a longer growing time during the winter. Ironically, I don't really like tomato sauce or ketchup. We've turned into the tomato stream. This is like the tomato ketchup stream. Did everybody hit the dislike button? I don't know. I have to check on my phone. I gotta check if everybody hit the dislike button. Oh, how do I do that? Oh, I have to go here. Oh, here we go. Let's see what we got. Only 6 dislikes. Ooh, only 6 dislikes. We should go big time. Try to hit 100 dislikes, but there's not even 100 people watching, so it is what it is. It was a good show today anyway. Could be the small tomatoes here in Germany taste better, but the one grown slowly in your garden are another level. Yeah, that's really the it's the big difference. If you're at your average like big box grocery store, you're probably going to find those shipped tomatoes that are grown specifically for the shipping. I mean, that's the whole object of the corporation, is to be able to ship those tomatoes all around the world. So it's really kind of the thing. It's really kind of the thing that it is. That's the big difference that you're just going to find if you actually grow your own tomatoes from a good strain. You know what I mean? If you're growing from your own, heirloom seed or something like that, that is not intended to be a shipped tomato, then you're going to notice like a big difference in texture, flavor. Definitely the quality and quantity of flavor is definitely different. And you'll definitely see a big difference personally. You know what I mean? Like, you're probably going to see a big difference, that's for sure. Oh, how many dislikes do we have now? We got to check. Oh, we're up to 9. Okay. Well, hit the like button or the dislike button, or just hit any old button. It doesn't really matter. The reason I say hit the dislike button is that it doesn't really matter. I mean, my channel is going to be suppressed anyhow. Like, that's just how it goes. I do these live streams. I engage with you guys and stuff, and it damages the channel as far as like whether or not YouTube's going to promote the channel. That's just basically like how it goes. So does it matter? I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, there's all 51 of you out there. Thanks everybody for coming out. Definitely appreciate it. Let's give a big shout out to my boy, the Fish Tank Barn, for your super chat today. Dan Squires and Fun with Fish Tanks for becoming members. We're getting closer and closer to that 100 mark. Slowly but surely, we're getting closer to 100. 100 members. Someday we might get there. We shall see. But yeah, hopefully everybody out there is having a great pandemic. I'll try to do some stop-in coffee streams here fairly soon and have a cup of coffee with you guys. And yeah, happy weekend.